Hi guys, today I'm going to be talking to you about adding similes to your writing. Okay, so you have hopefully watched that video on adding similes and metaphors, but today we're going to focus on adding similes to your writing and how do you do that? Okay, well, first, when you're adding similes, you need to know that similes use like or as to compare the two things that are different. So I'm going to give you a couple examples of when you're going through your writing, what you're looking for, and how you can add that simile or that simile to your writing. Okay. So first you want to think about, well, what do you want to add to your writing? Do you want to add like a feeling? Do you want to describe an object in more detail? Or do you want to describe an action in more detail? I'm going to give you a couple examples of each one, okay? So the easiest one for me would be to add a feeling, okay? So because it's easy to talk about how the characters are feeling, right? And you can be more descriptive and really make your story pop by talking about the characters' feelings, okay, guys? So maybe you'd want to describe the character's feeling sad. So you pick your feeling right here, and then a way to add a simile would be like something like Clara was as sad as a girl on timeout. So you'd have to think of something to compare it to that was sad. Okay, so first of all, you think of the feeling, and then you think of something to compare it to that might make another person feel sad. Okay, and that's different than something that you're talking about maybe in the story. You're not talking about the girl being on timeout in the story, but you are trying to describe how sad this person felt. And a girl on timeout is very sad. So that really gives you kind of an image in your head when you're reading, okay? Another example would be happy. Clara was as happy as a kid on Christmas morning because everybody's super happy on Christmas morning, right? It's super excited opening all your presents, right? And that really gives the reader a feeling of what that feeling is in that moment. So when you decide what you're going to compare it to, you really got to decide on what feeling you want the readers to feel in that moment in your writing, okay? So feelings, I feel like they're the easiest to add a simile to. Again, I've only used I've only used as so far. I haven't used like. I'm going to show you how to use like a little further down, okay? The next one we're going to be doing is describing an object. So say you want to just pick an object in your writing and you just want to describe it in a little more detail, like to give the reader a little more feeling for what's going on with that object, like the door handle. The door handle was as hot as the sun. Oh my goodness, that makes you feel like your hand's going to fall off because it's so hot, right? Okay. So it's describing, it's really, really getting the point across to the reader what exactly you're trying to say. Okay. How about the car? The car was as fast as a speeding train. Okay, well, that gives you the sense that the car's going super fast, not just a little fast, but super fast. Okay. So similes really help to describe that moment just a little bit better. Okay. Then we have describe an action. Okay, so you could also describe an action in your story or your writing. So like snoring. Okay, you really want to get the reader across how bad this snoring. It wasn't just a little bit of light snoring. It was like crazy snoring, right? So Dad's snoring was as loud as a jet airplane taking off. That's really loud, right? Like people have to wear earphones to like this, right? To like not hear it so much because it's so loud. Okay. So that really, even though it probably wasn't that loud in reality, but you're trying to get across to the reader how loud it really was. Okay, guys? So that's the whole point of adding your similes. Now, I told you I was going to add like to a sentence, and I did in this next one. I've used as most of the time to compare two things, but you could also say something like screaming. Jenna's scream was like a siren. Okay. I feel like adding like sometimes is a little bit harder than using as, but your sentences are a little bit shorter and it's a little bit like more cut and to the point when you use like. Okay. So these are a couple of ways that you can use similes in your writing. Now I'm actually going to go to a writing piece. Okay. That I had a student write. And we're going to see where we could add a simile to this writing because that's what you're doing, right? You have to go to your writing and see where you could add it. And you're like, wow, I don't know what I'm doing. There's too much stuff going on. Well, just think, do you want to add a feeling? Do you want to add an action? Or do you want to describe an object in more detail? And in this next video that I'm going to make, we're going to go ahead and add a couple more similes to this to give you a really good example of how to do that in your writing today. All right. See you soon, guys, for video number 2.